tutorials. You've got together some skills that you can use in the MIT App Inventor. This interface here should look familiar to you by now. And now we're going to put together a nice little application which is going to teach you a foreign language. So in this particular tutorial, I'm going to kind of guide you step by step how to start creating it, and then you can carry on and you can embellish it, improve it, make it better. So for purposes of task 20, all you need to do is have 3 items. So the whole idea is on your phone, you're going to see a picture of something. You click on it, it tells you what it is, it writes it out on the screen, and it says what it is in the foreign language. Then you click next, and it takes you to the next screen. And you now click on another object. It shows you what it is, tells you what it is. You can click next and you can carry on. And hey presto, before you know it, you've learnt a language. So this is my app to rival Duolingo. I think I'm going to make a huge amount of money with this. Okay, so the first part of it really is just a duplication of the tutorials we've already done. So I'm going to go quite quickly through them. I need a picture of my item, and I'm going to be doing fruit, and I'm going to be teaching you English. There we go. So it says text for button there, and I'm going to, under components, I'm going to click that and rename it, and I'm going to call it Apple, and click OK. I'm also going to need another button, and this button I'm going to rename as Next. It takes us to the next screen. Now I'm going back to my Apple button here, and what I want to do is I'm going down to under the properties where it says image, none. I'm going to upload a file. So I go into my downloads folder, and I've got here's an apple. I'm going to open the apple, click OK, and it brings up the picture of the apple. Where it says text, I just need to remove that text, do away with it. I'm just going to put it on the center there. Only things I need to deal with really are the height and the width of that image. So for the height, I'm going to say, let's make it automatic. And for the width, I'm going to say fill parent. And you'll notice that kind of stretches it a bit. So maybe let me try automatic here, but I want to put it in the center. So how do I do that? If anyone can figure out how to do that, I haven't been able to yet. So what I normally do is I just go fill parent, and for the width I go fill parent, and when I add other items it doesn't distort it anymore. So there's no ways of dragging or dropping it. I mean dragging the corners to resize it. But you can play with those controls if you want to get it looking better. So that's going to be there, and you notice that's visible on the screen. And I've got my next button, and here I can give it a background color. I can say I want a background that's black, and the text color down at the bottom here, let me make that white, and the text is going to say next. And that again, I'm going to fill parent and fill parent, so it makes a nice big button. And I'm going to align the text to the center. For the shape, I could make it an oval shape, and that would make an oval button, for example, or I could just make it rounded a bit. Now that's quite big, so perhaps for height, instead of fill parent, I could make it, for example, 10%, and then it kind of goes down to the bottom there. Now I'm going to need a space here which tells you to click on the apple so that it will say the word apple. So for that you use a label, and I'm dragging that onto the top over there, and it's called label 1. So I can rename that apple label just so that there's no confusion when I come to do my coding. And again, I could give that a background color, black, and a text color, let's say of yellow this time, and make it a nice big font size. And for the height, maybe that can be 20%. And for the width, let's make it fill the screen, fill the parent, and we'll just center that text. And we're going to put here Instructions to the user. Click me to find out what I am called in English. Okay, and we just click here in the components. Click me to find out what I'm called in English. Here's the apple, and next to get onto the next screen. So that's pretty much all I need for screen 1. So I'm going to now click on Add Screen. And here it comes, any moment there. Screen 2. Now I could give it a name, but screen 2 is pretty descriptive. And it now takes me to screen 2, and I could do a very similar thing with a second object. So very quickly, button, I'm going to rename that pineapple, and I'm going to go, the height is going to be fill, no, not fill parent, what, let me leave that out, and the width is going to be fill parent, and I'm going to fetch the image, uploading a file, choose the file. It's going to be a pineapple this time, and there we go. I'm going to get my next button is going to be with a black background, text color white. It's going to say next. It's going to be what, 10% height, and the width is going to be fill parent. I'm going to center it. What else? The shape is that rounded shape. Okay. Oh, and the size was about 20, wasn't it? Let me just make sure we get that right so that I can go on to the next one. Oh, and there's some text here in the image. So if I go back to pineapple, you'll notice there it's saying text for button 1. I just have to remove that. And then I need my label. That goes at the top there. And the label is pineapple label, so that we know what it is. And again, I'm going to give it a black background. Or I could do different colors. No reason why I can't. And put a yellow text, for example. And the width is going to fill parent. And the height, let's say we're going to make that 20%. And there we go. And the text is going to say, click me to find out what I am in English. And that just needs to be centered. Okay, so I've now got that second page. So now I'm ready to add in the coding. So I'm going to go back to my screen 1, and I'm going to click on blocks. Let me just move myself to this side so I'm a bit out of the way. And here, where you see blocks over here, if you go down here, you'll see your screen 1, and you've got your apple. So I need that one. I need my controls for the apple. So when apple is clicked, well, what must happen? Well, a couple of things. The apple label, we must say set apple label text to. So it's going to change the text from click me to find out what I am to this text. I'm just going to drag that across. And we're teaching people English, so it must say it in English. If I were teaching Italian, it would be mela, etc., etc. And what else must it do? Well, it's got to speak. So, I forgot to add that. Not to worry. I just go back into my designer, and I've just got to go down to media, and I've got to go text to speech, and just drag that. It's not visible on the screen, but it's there at the bottom. And I've got to do the same for screen 2. I've got to go to media, and I've got to go text to speech. And I've just got to add that text to speech. Come on. Okay, well, I'll sort that out just now. So I'm going to go back to my screen 1, and text to speech, I think I've got to rename that. So we'll go, new name is text to speech Apple. That's why the second screen didn't work. Let's test that. If we go to screen 2, text to speech, no, I'm not seeing that added. Anyway, I'll find out just now. Back to screen 1. You'll notice we come across problems. I'm not quite sure how to sort that out, but I'm confident I can find out somehow. So I go back to blocks, and now I've got to get that text to speech has to do something. When I click the apple, the text is going to change to say the word apple, and text to speech must go call text to speech apple, and then it must speak this message apple. If I right click here and go duplicate, so in other words, that's not sitting in here. There we go. When apple is clicked, it's going to change the text on apple to say apple, and it's going to call the text to speech function in our blocks editors, and it's going to speak the message apple. It's going to say apple, in other words. The only thing I need to do next is change this next button. So when next is clicked, what must happen? Well, it's going to change to the screen. So it's going to go, what is it going to do? It's a control. So I need to click up here in the control. It's going to go open another screen. So when next is clicked, it's going to open another screen. And what is that screen name? Where's my message? There we go. Well, the screen name is screen 2. Now we can go into our screen 2 and basically do exactly the same thing. So for our pineapple, when pineapple is clicked, what must happen? Well, it must change that text. It must say pineapple label, set pineapple label text. There we go. Must set pineapple label text to pineapple, and it's got to do that text to speech business. So I'm going to need to bite the bullet now and find out how I do that text to speech. So I'm going to pause the video and very cunningly, and then find out how to do it and come back. Well, it was very simple. I just went text to speech and I dragged it in here and it appeared in the components. So I don't know what I did wrong before, but it just worked. So I'm just going to rename that text to speech. I'm going to call it pineapple, just so that we know that we're dealing with that one. I go back in the blocks and then text to speech pineapple when, no, not that one. So when pineapple is clicked, it must set text to speech. There we go. It must call, come on, sit in there. Must call text to speech pineapple, and it must speak the message pineapple. Okay, and that basically should work. So the way that you would test it is you would go down here and you would just go save project, and that saves the project. And then you would go to build and you would click provide QR code for the APK. So I click on that and it starts running this. Now this works if you have an Android phone, and I've got one here. So unfortunately, if you've got an iPhone, it doesn't work yet. But the whole idea is that I'm going to capture the QR code, and it then downloads as an APK, which is a program file, which I can then install on my phone and I can test it. And it works. I did test this one earlier. So I would just use this, capture this with a QR code and load it on my phone. Lovely little project. It's something I think that you can extend and make into a really, truly wonderful project. But I think 2 is fine. So task 20 will say you just need 2 images. But obviously you could go on and put multiple images and have a really fantastic project out of this. I hope you enjoy creating mobile apps. Look on the MIT App Inventor platform and you'll see wonderful tutorials. Just work your way through the tutorials and you'll find all sorts of wonderful games that you can create. And maybe we'll start an extramural club where we do this. But if you want to become a millionaire, design a great app and let everyone download your app. See you next time.